Welcome to Van of Action, and today this is a Van of Action. We're heading out for our first road trip of 2023. We have to go to Vancouver by way of Lillooet. It's a beautiful drive, just a beautiful ride through the mountains, and you're coming with us. We got all loaded up and struck out. The first thing we did was cross our single lane bridge, crossing the Shuswap River on the Trinity Valley Road, and this is my favorite bridge. I got a new camera. If it's a little bit shaky in this video, I apologize. We're going to head north to Salmon Arm, where we will connect with the Trans-Canada Highway and make our way to Kamloops. This highway follows the Shuswap Lake system. There's Big Shuswap Lake, Little Shuswap Lake. It's just an amazing drive along the water when there's no snow or ice on the road. It can be pretty treacherous, but this is the Trans-Canada Highway. Every truck that comes through Calgary going to Vancouver drives right along here. The traffic can be heavy, and so you got to be careful, but it's really a pretty drive. Most of the time you're low. There's some time when you're elevated, but most of the time you're just driving along the water, and it's really, really pretty. This is the South Thomspon River, which is a tremendous salmon and trout fishery. There's lots of water activities going on. There's lots of eagles, lots of wildlife. This is a really nice drive. You'll get to Kamloops about an hour later. You don't actually go through Kamloops. We kind of skirt along the bottom side of it, the south edge of Kamloops. And this is where you start to climb and you start to feel like you're in an airplane. I'm going to say that a number of times in this video, I'm sure. But it's just amazing how high you get. As you leave Kamloops, this is what you'll see. It's a divided highway, lots of asphalt, and you can get all the way to Vancouver on this highway. This will become the Coquihalla. And if you've never done it before, summiting at the Coquihalla is absolutely spectacular. I don't want to take anything away from that. But between here and Hope, all you're going to see is the Coquihalla summit. You won't see much of wildlife, you won't see much of anything. So you have to make a decision here. You can stay on this highway and be in Vancouver in 3 hours and 47 minutes. Or you can choose to turn right here and go towards Cache Creek and take the old Trans-Canada Highway. And instead of 3 hours and 47 minutes to Vancouver, you can choose adventure and be 5 hours and 15 minutes to Vancouver, which is only an hour and a half difference. You can go this way. Now, Google Maps says it's an hour and a half, but it's going to be more than that. There's going to be lots of places you want to stop. You start to climb and you start to follow the Kamloops Lake along the highway on the way to Cache Creek, and this is just a pretty drive. You'll feel like you're up in the air. The views along this part of the lake are just absolutely amazing, but very quickly you'll leave this terrain and enter the Thomspon Plateau, which is a high elevation plateau which is very arid, very unique. It reminds us of northern Arizona and New Mexico. There's no trees, very unique vegetation, lots of rock, lots of gravel, really majestic. And even here, you're still elevated. You'll see rolling hills, you'll see the Thomspon River Valley, and if you notice those snow-covered mountains off in the distance, remember those. You'll travel this way for about an hour, and then you'll end up in the little town of Cache Creek, which is a great place for a pit stop or to get some gas, but don't have lunch here. There's better places to stop. We're going to get to those in a very short time. You'll leave Cache Creek and carry on for just a few minutes and you'll come to the junction of Highway 99. This is the old Trans-Canada Highway. You'll turn west here and start climbing into the foothills of the coastal mountain range. The terrain will change, the vegetation will change. It's just amazing. You'll start climbing here and you'll make your way from Cache Creek down to Lillooet. It's just a pretty drive. You'll climb and climb and climb until all of a sudden you find a lake. You go, holy smokes, I'm up here in this lake. And this is Marble Canyon, a great place for lunch, great place for a cup of coffee, or if you time it right, a great place to spend the night, because there is a Marble Lake Provincial Park right here on the side of the lake. It's just a beautiful, beautiful spot to stop if you can. You'll carry along here following this. You'll feel like you're down by the lake. You'll feel like you're down low. The rock faces will go up on the side of the road. It's just absolutely beautiful. That's the one thing we say about British Columbia. Every time we go around the corner, it's even more beautiful than the place we just came from. It's just unbelievable. This is late April. You see there's still some ice on the lake, but this lake has fish in it. In the summertime, there's people swimming and sailing. It's just a really, really, really pretty place and a nice place to stop along the way. Look at this. And this is a regular day. This is the kind of traffic you should expect on this road. You'll certainly see trucks or cars from time to time, but it's not heavy traffic. You're driving along this valley, you think, oh, this is fine, this is fine. Now you see those snow-covered mountains in the distance? Remember those, because all of a sudden you're going to start to go down, and you'll go down and down and down. For miles you'll be going down, and you feel like you're landing an airplane. It's unbelievable. Then when you think you got to the bottom, you're not at the bottom yet. There's still a long way to go. The Fraser River is down in that valley on the right. And then you think you're down, you're not. Check this out. It's still a 10% grade. We got a long way to go. You see that sign, and then 50 yards down the road, there's another sign that says watch for livestock. But while you're watching for livestock, you've got the Fraser River down below. You've got the 10-mile slide that's really something to see. The highway you're driving on is here, and if you look really closely, you'll see there's a train tunnel. A train could come out of it any minute. Watch for the livestock and the 10% grade. This is just overwhelming. You will not see this on the Coquihalla, I guarantee it. This is just absolutely amazing. Just beyond the 10-mile slide, there's this little tunnel under the railway tracks, and they actually built this bridge backwards. It leans the wrong way to the road. It's just it's a hoot, but beware. Logging trucks come through here from time to time, and they can't see a thing as they're coming through the tunnel. After a few minutes, you'll find yourself in Lillooet. And Lillooet's a wonderful little town with a fascinating history. It's on the opposite side of the Fraser River from where we are. And at one time, Lillooet was the largest city west of the Mississippi, second only to San Francisco. And that's because Lillooet is mile zero of the Great Canadian Gold Rush. Thousands and thousands of gold miners came up here looking for their fortune. And Lillooet, too, is in the desert, the alpine desert. It averages less than 6 inches of snow a year, believe it or not. No one has a snow shovel. And because of that, a gold miner years ago thought, well, jeepers, this environment's perfect for camels. So he imported 22 camels to Lillooet, brought them up the Fraser River on a boat, and walked them into the mountains to carry all his gold out. Didn't work very well for him. And what we're crossing, though, to get into Lillooet across the Fraser River is the 22 camel bridge, which is kind of cool. And on the other side of the bridge, on the left-hand side of the road, there's a family campground. Beautiful little campground. You can spend the night here, wade into the Fraser River, and do your own moiling for gold. Who knows? They're still panning for it, and they're still finding gold every day. Lillooet itself is a nice small town with a nice little main street. There's decent restaurants. Abundance is a great bakery, but don't eat indoors. When you get there, go 1 block up the hill. In this case, we're driving into town, go up on the left, 1 block up, there's the Hangman Park. When there were a lot of gold miners around here, it was a rough place to be, and they hung a few folks. Through that valley there, through the crux of the mountains, is Squamish and Whistler. We're going to come back that way, so remember that. And if we pan to the left, you'll see the Fraser River and a valley that goes towards Hope. And that's the way we're going to go now. We're going to continue our trip south from Lillooet. And south from Lillooet, we're going to go to Hope and then right into Vancouver itself. And as you leave Lillooet, you stay up elevated above the Fraser River. The views are amazing. Any time of day or night, it's just amazing. And if you're from other places, you may be shocked to see there's very few guardrails around here. If there's a guardrail, you got to be careful because it's really treacherous because they don't put guardrails in a lot of places. After about an hour, you'll drop off the side of the mountain down into the village of Lytton. Lytton is where the Thomson River and the Fraser River meet. The bridge we're going to cross is where the Thomson River runs into the Fraser. And because of that, before the Europeans came to Canada, this was a very important place for the First Nations people, and there was a very significant settlement here. But in 2020, a forest fire came through, or 2021, a forest fire came through and devastated the town. And unfortunately, some lives were lost. But even two years later, there still isn't a lot of rebuilding being done. They're still cleaning up the mess. So you're not going to stop here. Just drive right on through, which is fine because once you go south of Lytton, you start hitting the really rugged part of the highway. This is just amazing. There's 6, maybe 7 tunnels, and some of them are short, some of them are long. This one is so long it actually has a corner built into it halfway through, which blew me away. I couldn't imagine the engineers being able to do that so many years ago. It's just unbelievable. This is the original Trans-Canada Highway. Everyone used to drive down here, and you can see how treacherous it could be in the wintertime and why it was important to improve it. Along this stretch, there had been a landslide about a year ago, and if you see the rock on the left side of the highway, that's exactly what it's like on the right side of the highway, except for where this bridge is. And where the bridge is, there isn't anything on the right side. In fact, there's nothing under the bridge either. It goes straight down to the Fraser River. It's just wild. It's just wild. You know, if you're going to come all the way to BC, you might as well really get a feeling for what BC is. And this extra hour and a half from, as opposed to the Coquihalla, really will make a difference to you. You'll go back with memories that are just unbelievable. After this stretch, you start going into tunnels. It's just amazing how this highway was built, tunnel after tunnel, and in some tunnels you can see the next tunnel and you can see the sun shining through the end of it. It's just absolutely amazing. And then you come into Hope, and at Hope we connect with the bottom end of the Coquihalla, and we follow this highway right into British Columbia. And here we're leaving the highway and going to the campground, and this is how close it is to the highway, how convenient it is. This is the Burnaby Cariboo RV park, and it's so close to everything. It's a mature campground, it's urban camping, but the facilities are amazing. There's a wonderful laundry room, showers and washrooms are absolutely clean. There's an indoor swimming pool, and the location is so central. You're 10 minutes to Simon Fraser University, maybe 15, 20 minutes to Stanley Park. This is a great place to stay if you're going to be in Vancouver itself. We did our business in Vancouver, and the next day we started striking home again, and this time we're going back to Lillooet by way of Whistler and Squamish. It's an amazing drive. You start off riding along the coast, and as often happens on the coastline, it was raining the day we did it, but it's absolutely spectacular anyway. The sun's always nice, but the rain's good too. And an hour after leaving the campground, you come to Squamish, and this rock face is what they call the Chief. It's just an iconic rock climbing rock. And pray for a red light there, because if you take a good look, you'll see some what looks like ants on the rock face. It's really climbers going up. It's just amazing. After Squamish is Whistler, and you can spend a day at Whistler easy. You can go up the gondola from summit to summit. There's so much time you can spend along here, and it's just a wonderful experience, and the thing that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. As we move north from Whistler, we start moving into the interior, and it really becomes rugged. It really becomes rugged. The rocks, the mountains, the views, the vistas, it's just unbelievable. And sometimes the traffic is just a lone horse walking down the highway, so you got to keep your wits about you. And then we started to climb over the coastal mountains, and we went up. We must have gone up for 15 or 20 minutes. And every time you came to a switchback and you got a glimpse of over the valley again, it was just unbelievable. The views were just spectacular. We climbed and climbed until we reached the snow cap. And that actually, the day we were there, it was actually snowing as we drove across, which was really special. As you summit these mountains, you feel you've come a long way up, and then all of a sudden you find a lake up there, and you go, holy cow, how's that even possible? But it is. In the summertime, this highway is beautiful, and there's places to park along the way, and then you start going down again. And as you go down through these mountains, sometimes you can't imagine where the road's going to go. It's just spectacular, just spectacular. Again, you feel like you're just flying in between the mountains. And check this out, look at the guardrail. There isn't one. Well, there is when it's really dangerous. Ordinary danger, they don't worry about it. Hey, when you leave here, you'll say to yourself, I can't believe how wonderful that was. This is a short ride that'll make a lifetime full of memories. You'll really enjoy it. Now the lighter mountains we see off in the distance, those are on the far side of the Fraser River at Lillooet. We've closed the circle. And this is Seton Lake, just outside of Lillooet. And then we'll make our way north to Cache Creek and then join up with the Trans-Canada Highway again and make our way back to Salmon Arm. British Columbia is a very large province with very few roads, and so often people just stay on the main road, the Trans-Canada Highway and the Coquihalla. Tell you what, give yourself a chance for some adventure. You'll build memories of a lifetime. You're not in any danger, and it doesn't add that much to the trip. You'll be so glad you did. I hope this video inspires you to look for a road less traveled, and join us for some other videos, and you all come back now.